Very small little exploratory holes. This shaft will pass through a 1-inch, half-inch diameter hole. Let me show you an example. We've drilled a hole at the base of this wall cavity someplace. We think it's in one of the two corners, but I can't see in here because of the insulation. I can take this shaft and treat it almost like a fish tape, feeding it down into the corners, and turn the light on and take a look. You know, it's not in that corner. And I just twist the shaft like I need to get into the corner space. And there it is. The hole is right near the edge, right up near the front. This thing is perfect for working in those hard to get at spots. Now, I'm in the unfinished basement of our house, and our job is to get a wire up into a wall cavity there where Mike is on the first floor. And what I've done is I picked a convenient location under the bottom plate to drill up. And Mike is going to try to find where my fish tape is.
Now, since I can't be, exactly sure which cavity he's going to poke this up in, and if I'm on the first floor, I'm going to use a little known trick for locating, like metal drill bits, and in this case, a metal fish tape in the wall. The trick is to attach one of our standard cable tone generators at one end, and then I'll use this pickup sensor to find that wire in the wall.
Okay, Mike, it's ready.
Okay, Grayson has hooked up the tone sensor, and I'm going to kind of just sweep across the wall. You can see how the signal gets much stronger as I get closer and as I move away. So I've got a real good spot to know where I need to drill my hole in that wall cavity so I can attach the pull cord.
This time I'm in the attic on top of the second floor, and our job is to get a wire down one of the wall cavities. I managed to get out and get a hole through the top plate, and I fished this fish rod in, and the fish rod's got a magnet on the end, and I'm going to get it down so Mike can locate it here. Okay, Mike, it's in the wall.
Okay, I can locate the end of this rod just simply using an inexpensive compass. I just sweep the compass across the wall cavity where I think the rod will be until I see the compass swing toward the wall. Since I think it's near the bottom of the wall cavity, I'll start about here and kind of work my way across back and forth until I find it. I'm going to start a little high, move down until I start, big swing right here. And I can check that's right about where it is. Now I know where to make my hole in the wall. Definitely one of the most must-have tools is a set of these spring steel wire bits. We use them to locate reference points when we're trying to run cable between floors or rooms. Let's say, for example, you needed to drill down into this wall cavity from the attic. You'd normally do this by measuring over from the wall. But that's very hard to do that same measurement up in the attic. But by using these, using the wire as a tiny but long drill bit, you can go right through the ceiling into the attic. You or another installer simply locates the wire, and then they measure over from the wall cavity and drill down. So what I'm going to do is I've pre-cut some of these that are about the right length, if you see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a tip off of it just to show you. Because the important thing to remember is you need a sharp tip point. So we're going to cut this. So that gets me a good sharp point to put in my bit. Now, I've got a drill here, and I'm going to go up through this plexiglass. First thing I'm going to do is measure out from the wall, I'm going to guess it's about 2 to 3 inches. And I'm going to set this up. Now, you'll need to hold it with your hand before drilling, because this is, this is a little flexible. So hang on, don't press too hard on the drill. So let's see if we can get her going there. There we go. Going to disconnect the drill, leaving this small wire drill bit. Going to push all the way up so the installer can find it. Get a measurement here. Let's see. That's going to be about 3 inches from where the sheetrock would be. Grayson, I'm about 3 inches from where the sheetrock would be. Can you find it?
I got it. I see it.
It works great to use these wire bits through floorboards and into the basement as well. The bit can easily go through wood or plaster, and you know, it leaves such a tiny hole when it's removed that it'll just never be noticed. Let's cover tools you use to make holes in existing walls for, mounting our rough-in boxes, outlets, and so on. Now, to do this, we'll be covering these routers, some saws, and of course, sledgehammers.
Whoa, sledgehammers?
Well, sure, they're great for making holes quickly. And I like this 10-pound sledge the best. Man, you can get a good swing on this thing.
Jesus, Mike.
And they're really good for lath and plaster now.
Yeah, well, that's for remodeling, Mike. Now, this is retrofit. Remodeling is for this old house.
Oh.
Another show.
I still like it.
Well, we'll let you use it on that show. Now, you'll always need to make new openings for outlets, speakers, and even distribution panels. The best tool to use depends on the wall or ceiling material.
But regardless of the tool you use, you must always be conscious of not damaging the outside wall surface, such as paint and especially wallpaper. Now, the easiest way to prevent damage of some sort is to use some sort of template that covers the area around the hole. Always use something between your cutting tool and the wall surface.
Right. Now, the template can be as simple as a piece of cardboard like Mike has, or carefully taped to the wall, or something like this aluminum template that's cut to the size of a standard single gang outlet opening. Now, when making openings that are large in a wall, it requires some care. Now, the first thing you want to do is to find your approximate location that you're going to use with something like your stud finder. Then, it's good practice, if you have any doubt what's in the wall, to make a small exploratory hole. I'm going to start right here. Okay. Then you can use a stiff wire like this to feel inside for any surprises, such as pipes or ductwork or something else that got there before you. Or you can use this fiber optic scope that we showed you earlier, since it'll fit inside a real small hole. Now, a cool trick to center the opening between the studs is to make a small hole near the center. Then, using this U-shaped piece of wire like this, with sides the same length, insert one end into the wall opening. Then, once you've got it inside, rock the wire back and forth until it hits something on each side. Then mark the ends ends of the wire on the outside. Okay? Now, the inside's hitting the studs, and I mark it on the outside. This will clearly define the space behind the wall cover. Once you know the whole location, you can use this plastic outlet template to mark the cutout for single and double gang outlets. The nice part is that it has built-in levels for standard vertical or horizontal mounting.
In new homes with sheetrock wall covering, this handheld sheetrock saw will work well if you're careful. Now, it can be punched through the sheetrock like this. If you want, you can cut you some little previous small holes to get you started. I kind of like to do it this way. So you just take this, following your template, now, cutting any kind of wall material will always make a mess, and what you want to do is always clean as you go. So be sure and vacuum up. Now, if you've got a ceiling outlet that you're cutting out, be sure to put a drop cloth and then vacuum up all the dust and insulation. If you don't clean up, you're going to end up tracking this all the way out through the house. So I like to clean up really well. Well, once you have your outlet hole cut, you'll need a retrofit mounting ring to hold the outlet hardware. And these, of course, they come in 1 gang, 2 gang, and they have a clamp that secures them to the opening. You can kind of see this clamp here with the set screw that'll come over and hits the stop. And of course, it pulls up against the sheetrock. Let me demonstrate by putting one in. We'll turn the tabs to the center so we can get through our hole. We get in here, and that's all we have to do. We take our electric screwdriver, put it right up here. There we go. And we just screw that down tight, and we'll do the same on the bottom. Now that's pulling right up against that sheetrock to hold it securely into place. As you can see, these can easily be removed by unscrewing if you need to.
This new stainless steel outlet cutout protector slips into a single or double gang cutout. Clamps in place and will protect the hole from drills, drill bits, and drill guides until you're done. It then removes easily for the next hole. Cutting a hole in lath and plaster is more difficult. First, the material is much harder than wallboard. And second, cutting through with a saw will invariably break the plaster. Now, as soon as you start cutting through one of the lath boards, particularly with an electric saw, it'll start vibrating and cause cracks to develop around the cutout as well as at the studs. Now, the best way to make cuts in lath and similar plaster material is with a cutout tool such as this. Now, these tools are also perfect for making cutouts for outlets in ceramic tile, like in baths and kitchens, in Formica, or other wall boards. Now, this RotoZip tool comes with a circle cutting attachment, which we'll demonstrate a little later to make speaker openings. Now, these cutout tools are used like a router. You can make a pilot hole to get started, or you can work the bit in at an angle to get it started to making the cut. Hold the tool firmly to guide the bit inside the template. Now, this technique will make a relatively smooth hole without vibrating the boards and keeping the outer plaster intact. And remember, always clean up as you go. Last but most important, we need to cover safety equipment. Now, these items are also must-haves. Behold the well-dressed retrofit installer ready for a hard day in a hazardous environment. How you doing in there, Mike?
Well, I feel like I'm going to work in a nuclear reactor.
He's a little overdressed for this particular job. Now, the hard hat is an absolute must for working in attics and crawl spaces. The glasses must be worn anytime you're working with power tools, and they're also valuable in attics as well as the mask. The mask is a definite must-have in working in attics because the insulation and the old dust in attic spaces can be disastrous to the retrofitter's lungs. Now, the coveralls are not required, but they're going to make your life in attics and crawl space much easier, especially for your wife. Now, this Ralph the Retrofitter Lauren original here can be purchased in quantity at any safety supply store. The gloves, as you see, should be worn in attics and crawl spaces, particularly when you have to use your hands and feet or move insulation around. And finally, the knee pads, while not required, are going to make your life a lot less painful in crawl spaces. Now, it's been our experience, especially in the jobs you'll see in Part 3, that one of the biggest problems of the retrofit is simply tool management. Now, I estimate that 25% of an installer's time is used nothing more than to find and retrieve tools left in attics, crawl spaces, on the truck, or wherever the installer isn't.
Boy, that's true.
Practice tool management. Keep the tools in a central location. Now, always return all the tools used to that location. Always check an area when you leave for tools that you've left behind.
Now, wearing a regular tool belt for retrofit is usually not practical, Grayson, but you should at least have a little small tool pouch.
Sure.
So you'll always have a key set of small tools that you need to carry. Let me give you an example here. We've got wire cutters I'd always carry.
Okay.
Label marker tape with, of course, a marking pen.
To get your cables labeled.
Exactly. I got electrical tape, and then some good large-size cable cutters.
Not the dikes.
No, not the dikes. And I always carry some pull wire. I mean, this is good stuff. That's the old weed whacker wire we were showing you earlier. and a flashlight, an Allen wrench, you know, to set those extensions that we had on the fiberglass poles, small knife, and of course, a good two-way radio.
Right. Now, these family band radios, as they're called, have excellent range and are low cost and on my list of must-haves for any 2 or more man retrofit job. Get the headset if you can, so you'll have both hands free. The latest in retrofitters' fashion this year is this magnetic wristband. It easily holds Allen wrenches, screws, fiberglass rod tips, and small tools when you're working in an attic or crawl space. But it is a little hard to get off.
I know we've shown you a lot of tools and gadgets, but just don't get the idea that you need every one of these tools to do retrofit. Everybody has their own set, and you can get by with a lot less than what we're showing you.
Right. Now, tools are designed to save you time and money as well as make the job more enjoyable. You've got to try them out to find out what tools work best for you.
Well, why don't we go and show many of these tools that we're going to use for some of the retrofit wiring tests, Grayson?
All right, let's get started on our 2-story retrofit house.
Let's go.